now on. So let them know that they could send in their questions via the comment section on the social media platforms that they would be streaming from. And also they could send in their questions at thegospelmanager@gmail.com via mail. And those on WhatsApp and Telegram, they could send in their questions to the numbers displayed on the screen. It is +234 9047 533019. Now remember that no matter what it is you're going through, God's servant is here to give you God's wisdom and counsel as regards your ministry, your life, your relationships, even parenting, business, career, and every other area of your concern. Now note that He's giving you God's wisdom and counsel per time to help you navigate through the challenges life throws at you. At every given time and moment, you could send in your questions at the details on your screen, and you'll be sure that my team and I will collate it and share it in the next episode. I'm not alone, God's servant is here, and I'd just love to invite him to set the course for this episode and get your hearts prepared, because God's servant is also prepared. Good morning, Dad, and welcome.
Good morning. How are you?
Fine, thank you, sir.
I want to start by saying that let's pay more attention to the end result of everything we do. I'm doing a lot of sober thoughts why we don't see the end before we start. When we see the end of everything, it defines how we start. People don't see the end, so they just start. And that's why sometimes our actions don't go well, because there are regrets I have, and I can't discuss that. And there are people that have greater regrets than I am. Because we just start, we don't see the end. And it's in all sectors of life: marriage, career, God, everything. So let's try to know how we are ending before we start. If we know how we are ending before we start, it will aid the decisions we take. It will aid the things we say. When these things are guided, it's very easy for you to really go out, exempt yourself from errors, and also appreciate the kindness those decisions brings to us. So I believe that people should see the end before they marry. They should see the end before they start anything in this life. Then you can now know how to process it, because you knew. In John 6:6, the Bible says, Jesus said he knew what he would do. So the action of Christian was to just get views, but he knew what he would do. Let's try to always know the end before we act and before we speak. And that will give us true access to fulfillment in life.
Thank you so much, sir. Remember, always have the end in view whilst you start anything, including conversations and also the work that you do. Now we're going to start off with the questions from the last episode and questions collated at the course of the week. Once again, before we go into them, we want to say a very special thank you to everyone who has sent in their questions. And don't forget, we also want to hear how this answers God's servant's counsel and wisdom to you has helped you navigate the situation or the circumstance, as it were, and how you've been able to get victory and the testimonies that you are getting from them. You could send them still at the comment section, and also via email and via WhatsApp and Telegram text. We are so grateful to you. Thank you for staying tuned to the Gospel Manager. Now, this question is from Mrs. Rose from Asaba. She says, "Good morning, Daddy. My name is Rose from Asaba, a new member of the Honor World International. I actually wanted to ask this question during the service on Sunday, but there was no space for that. But thank God for the Gospel Manager platform. Please, sir, from your teaching on Sunday during the service, You made mention of some mothers who had allowed their children to outgrow correction and they are suffering from it today. That's true, sir. I am a victim of that. But what can one do to correct the mistakes, because my children don't listen to me anymore? They do what they like, knowing that I can't beat them because I am not a beaten type. Please, is there anything and any way I could handle these children?
We should try to appreciate the willingness to accept. And that acceptance is even the greatest gift that that lady has. So the best thing, because we live in a world where people are always right. So they don't accept anything. Their judgment is what will play itself. And that's why I keep saying that the person that will do well, you will know how he receives information. When your information reception is poor, when you receive things and you are receiving them judgmentively, you will always take judgmental decisions. And that problem can still be solved the way it was supposed to be solved when the kids were small.
Yeah.
There's no improved method of handling a grown man. It's the same way that you are supposed to speak to them, you have to speak to them. Show that reaction that this thing is not right and I want these things to change. So I bet the addition here is that let there be books bought and given to them to read. And let her do it with a sense of consistency. And then as she keeps progressing with that, the changes she requires will come to them.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir. All right, so this one is from a pastor in the Northeast. He says, "Good morning, sir. My name is Pastor Ezekiel, married to Reverend Mrs. Ezekiel. Sir, please, my question would be, what is one experience in your ministry that changed your understanding of faith and humanity forever?"
I have always grown to understand certain levels of life, so there's no timeline for that change. As I progress and I study, I improve what I do, and I get my belief in one of the things that improves belief is your faces in the Word of God, and then your faces in the visions part-time that God has asked you to accomplish. So that's the platform that improve what I do and improve how I see life and ministry.
Thank you so much, sir. Now, this other one is from Apostle Doctrine Ishaku. I'm sorry if I pronounced it wrongly. He says, "Good morning, Bishop. I'm very blessed by your ministry and your streams. Thank you so much. Your words are like fire in my spirit and my bone. But sir, please, I would love to ask this question. How do you balance your spiritual responsibilities with your personal life without feeling overwhelmed?"
These diversions is what I've always said. There's no personal life. Man was meant to be spiritual. Man is a spiritual being. The personal life is supposed to be involved with the spiritual life. So there's only one life I have, spiritual life. I'm a spiritual man. So whatever connects to it is feeding from me being spiritual. So if I am not spiritual, I can't have a life that is personal enough to affect my life. So spirituality is who I am. I'm a spiritual man. So those other extensions are feeding from my spiritual existence. My knowledge in how to treat family, how to treat business is coming from being spiritual. So let's know that there is no two lives. It's one life feeding the other branches of your life. That's the way I live my life.
Thank you so much, sir. All right, so we'll take this next question, and this is from Fidelis Nwafo. It says, "Good morning, Bishop. My name is Fidelis Nwafo. I'm streaming in from Makurdi, Benue State. So I watched the previous episodes before the last, and I'm very profound about your delivery. It is really, really encouraging that we have intelligent pastors in the kingdom. Sir, I love you already. But sir, I'm a business person. I just finished my apprenticeship, and I just want to ask a very direct question. What biblical principles can guide a believer in building a successful business? My emphasis is on believer, but new believer, because I just gave my life to Christ just 2 months ago. So, sir, are there guiding principles in scriptures that could help me build a successful business?
You know, Genesis chapter 8:22 is one of the most profound scriptures in the Bible. It says seed time and harvest time. That means if you don't invest, you will not receive. So if you want to succeed, first you must give your time to know from God, to know what it takes to run that profession, and 3, the time allotted to that profession. These are the 3 things you must do first if you want to succeed. To know if it is God's will, to know the knowledge approved of that profession, and 3, to know the timing given to it. So when you do all of these 3, then you are now laying the foundation for the growth of the business. And then for extension, you now have to build a life of service for that business, because if you don't serve the one who owns the earth, the business will not prosper. So no matter what anybody talks about, those who don't go to church, but the truth is they worship something. So a business must have something he worships. And 2, from the basement angle of it, and then you try to understand what giving capacity is surrounding your business, so you can start doing that too. So all of these put together are the criteria that gives access to how a business should start and how a business should be maintained. Then we end by partnership. What kind of associates do you need around your business? Because it's lately I discovered that it's not everybody that is meant to be around you in your business. There are some who are supposed to build with you. There are some who are supposed to eat with you. And there are some who are supposed to work with you. You must know those who are supposed to build with you. You know, some don't carry the burdens of a place. They behave like the people following the vision. Some are supposed to be carriers of the vision. Some are supposed to be followers of the vision. Some are supposed to be eaters of some visions just have one man carrying it, others following it. So there are no carriers with the carrier. And that is why some visions don't stay longer, because there are no carriers with the carrier. There are no burden bearers as the burden bearer. And that's a very huge problem. And that is what every starter must check when recruiting people around you. Though they are gifted, though they are smart, but do they have the body? Eve was a helper, but she did not have the burden of Adam. And that was the problem in the garden. She was the wife. She understood the vision. She can even explain it. But she had one problem. She didn't have the burden of that vision. So she started asking stupid questions that she was not supposed to ask. Because if the burden was there, she'd be seeing things at the level of Adam. And that's where the problem is. People don't have the burden of the vision. And because the burden is not there, they begin to ask silly questions that have nothing to do with the vision. And in asking those questions, you are exposing the door for a stranger to come in, to give you ideas that is not supposed to be a part of that system. And as long as an idea is sold into a system that is supposed to be there, it corrupts the fabric of the foundation of that vision. And that's death coming. And death really played itself in the Garden of Eden. Death was produced by the helper not being passionate about the success of that business. So we should understand that all of these intricacies are very important in the growing of any, whether spiritual or physical, whether social, of any business.
Thank you so much, sir. Okay, so now we go into the next question, and this one says, "Good morning, Bishop. Thank you again for Gospel Manager. I'm a new viewer, but I just want to ask this direct question because I understand it also addresses relationships, couple goals, and all that. So, Pastor Sir, please, what is one thing you wish every young couple knew before getting married?"
The true meaning of respect. You know, we don't know the true meaning of respect. And we try to go study, get the meaning by a dictionary definition. No. The true meaning of respect is compound itself. One, it handles your attitude. Two, it handles your self-esteem. And three, it handles your values. The moment you respect a person, all of those things are subjected to that. It handles your emotions, it handles your values, it handles your self-esteem. These three things are handled. That's the true meaning. And it also handles your sacrifice. You know, the excuses people give in marriage, sometimes I'm baffled about it. So, because we have not really defined what respect is all about. And people think respect is to kneel down for somebody and to, that's not respect. Respect is simply you understanding that I'm involved in this person's life. And there are certain things I should not allow to happen itself because I'm involved in this person's life. So you understand it and you are living that knowledge, because respect is a living of knowledge. So you live a certain way because you respect a person. And if we start studying what respect is all about, then living in homes will not be a problem. We need to go back to not studying a dictionary, study human actions and translating that to how to respect people. The person you want to live for the rest of your life, how respectful are you to that person? How do you see the person? Because it is knowledge that improves respect. Information is the breeder of respect. The more I know, which to me is dying today, the more you know me, the more you abuse me. I don't know who taught us that. And that's one of the things I have tried myself not to get involved in. The more I know you, the more I should value you. That's how life is supposed to be. But today, the more you know people, the more they abuse you. Because we don't really understand why we build relationships. And because people feel that the moment they know certain things about you, they know you. You don't really know me. You may be with me for 20 years. You don't know me. You only know the parts I have shown you. And the parts you have longed to know. Because it's until you start making discoveries of things, you may not know them. You may just be guessing and guessing and guessing and guessing. Because that's what we do. We just keep guessing like that. We're not too sure. We're just guessing. We're not too sure. We just live a life like that. And I have always said that people who live like that are average people. Don't ever live an average life. Try to be sure. Try to be certain. And it's good for marriage. So, you know, the other day I spoke about sacrifice. I spoke about giving. But I went back to study again. Before giving can even be effective, respect must be put to place. I cannot give if I don't respect. So respect must be put to place before giving becomes effective. So let's pay attention to how we respect the people we want to marry. Because that's where love grows from. Sacrifice, love comes from respect. And it goes through informations, not through a dictionary meaning. Information about the life of the person, how the person lives. And those informations is what builds that respect. towards the person's life. And then you not make a decision on how to stay there.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yes.
Now, paradigms change in 7 ways, and one of the ways that paradigms actually change is when a new information or discovery takes place. Now, for us, there is a new information and a new discovery, actually by God's servant Dr. Maxwell Golden Egbe, because you have heard about the artificial intelligence, but you haven't heard about the human artificial intelligence. Now, God's servant is going to give a very brief one on this so that we could actually learn from his line of thoughts and his assertive words on how we could change our lives simply by enhancing and shifting to the human artificial intelligence. Now, you don't want to miss this one. Listen very closely and attentively.
Whatever is produced is from man. So if you notice, this age is now transporting ideas to products. The man's idea is transported to product. I was thinking that if man takes those ideas and develop himself, man's IQ will improve, the man's production will improve, and the man's results will improve. So if we, and that's why I said using the word, the human AI is language outdated. So but if you use the word, the human IQ is language improved. So whatever word we want to use, let's be conscious that we are the ones producing these things. Yeah. It's not angels. Everything you see happening today as an improvement of human situation is manly improved by man. So if we are making such improvement, then we should check within ourselves how competent we're improving ourselves. Yes. And this is necessary for every factors of life. Even how have we improved marriage? Has our IQ grow to a level where we can understand how to live in marriage? We can understand how to do our jobs better. Now, all these machines we produce, they are making labor easy and making the brain weak. Because the moment you have machines working for you, you have limited time to think. Brain reduction is being transported to machines. A lot of things, time labor is moved to machines. So the time we normally used to spend to reflect, to think, to walk, they are now transported to machines. So if it takes you 2 hours, you take the machine 5 minutes, which to me is a good thing. But at the same time, we should understand that we need to allow ourselves to get the feeding of what we are producing to the earth. Because the more man produces and reduces his capacity for production, he gets lazy, he gets redundant, and the machines begin to do his job. And as machines starts doing our job, we'll begin to lose jobs. If you work in a restaurant and machines can now serve food, you are no more useful. So the more we are producing these things, the more man. Now you don't need to go to school to study English. The AI now, you don't need English language for anything now. The AI is producing those words. So going to even study English language now in school is useless. In one way now. So let's be careful and start making strong upgrade of ourselves. Check your IQ level. Are you progressing intellectually? And progress intellectually. Grow to that artificial intelligence level that we are seeing today. Match up with the machines that we all have here. Match up. Don't be behind. Don't be outdated. Match up to anything you do. Update yourself to fit into today's labor. And that will help every one of us. But if we sit down and now say the phone can do everything, the machines can do everything, at one time, those machines can be our nightmare when it stops functioning. Because you have depended so much on those machines. So I believe that we will look inward and start improving ourselves too. Ideas are meant to produce, but the man who produces the idea should benefit from it by also growing himself.
To get more of this, you just have to keep following Dr. Maxwell Golden Egbe on all social media platforms. Now, one thing is sure that if you are around God's servant, one of the things that is promoted is the excellency of knowledge, the area and understanding, also the interpretation of dreams and goals, and also the answering and conquering of hard situations and dissolving doubts. Now, to know more about what I just said, then you have to hook up to YouTube, God Servant's page at Maxwell Golden Egbe tonight at 8 p.m. God Servant is carrying out a new series. He will be live on YouTube for a special program tagged Professionals, the professionals, with scriptural reference to Daniel 5 and verse 12. Here is going to be dissolving a lot of doubts. And if you are a professional in whatever sector of life, you have to hook up. He's a man of wisdom, you already know. But if you really, really want to dissolve the doubts you have in the career or the path with which you trade as a profession, then hook up with God's servant tonight on YouTube at 8 to 9 p.m. Don't forget, the streaming platform is YouTube at Maxwell Golden Egbe. And let's have the premiere edition as you join us on that platform. It's also going to be live on Honor TV for all our family and friends around Nigeria who are connected to the Honor World International. Remember, you could hook up also on the Honor TV. Now, don't forget, it's 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. It's the very first edition and season, and you do not want to miss it. God's servant is going to be at his best, always, and also sharing knowledge with us. Now, Abigail is one of the case study in scriptures that we must pay attention to for the way she conducted herself, how wisely she was able to attend to issues, solving problems within and around her family. Would like to know more about that as it relates to our life, our businesses, and even to our gender, whether male or female. So it is with this that I invite you specially for our Sunday service. It's the Wine Conference for the May edition, Sunday the 18th of May 2025. It's tagged the Abigail's Dream for Youths and Singles. So if you want to know how to live your life excellently, thicken principles and character attributes of Abigail, then you just want to be part of that service. As God's servant, we'll be dissecting her principles on how she was able to govern her life and become successful in her marriage and in her affairs. Don't forget, it's 7:30 a.m. this Sunday, streaming on all social media platforms and also live at Rehoboth City Honor World International. 7:30 is the time. Please invite your friends and family. And if you have not attended any of our services and you're in the city of Asaba, this is a great opportunity to be part of it, because not only will it benefit you and give you heavenly encounters, it's also going to give you the privilege of seeing God's servant one-on-one. And don't forget, questions can be asked in that service, especially as regards our youths and our singles. It's time for us to live a good life, and starting this Sunday is a remarkable time to make adjustments. God bless you as you join us, and we look forward to seeing you. Our team will welcome you, and we are people of character and hospitality. So your transportation also is going to be covered, because we have buses around the city of Asaba. The Asaba metropolis is covered with our buses. The details and the numbers to call if you want to be part of that broad service will be on the screen. And don't forget that you can bring your families, your friends, and if you're a student, you can also write us. We'll get a bus to you to pick you from school and back to school after the service. God bless you. And we go into the next set of questions for the gospel manager. And this one says, good morning, Bishop. You mentioned about conflicts in marriage in the last episode. My name is Ovietimi Amanama from Bayelsa State, Nigeria. Can you share a personal story where you or someone close to you found peace in a troubled marriage?
I will not sit here and talk about someone. I just want to say that whatever you want to do in life, or you are experiencing in life, there's always a room for rethink. People are very rash in acting. But sometimes if you sit down and really ask yourself certain questions, you even discover that you are the problem. Yes. But we live our lives trying to look for who to blame. I don't know why we are like that, but we live our lives every moment looking for who. Recently, I started asking myself questions. Why will you have to blame somebody for something? I'm doing a lot of out normal thinking today, for the past 2 weeks. That's why I asked, if Eve was Abigail, would she have eaten that fruit? It's not in the Bible. You don't think like that. If Eve was Lot's wife, would she turn? If Abigail was Lot's wife, would she turn? No. If Delilah was Abigail, would she destroy Samson? No. So I discovered that I started asking myself these questions. Why would I blame somebody for something that I'm supposed to take care of? Because I am the one who brought the person into the system to do it. And if it's not working, I'm the one to correct it. Blaming the person is a sign that I'm even the problem. So let's understand that sometimes we are looking for faults while we have not really checked if we are really truly the problem. Sometimes you are blaming a child in a home while you may be the problem of that child. Sometimes you're blaming your husband while you are the problem of that man. Sometimes you're blaming your wife while you are the problem of your wife. So sometimes we are not really solving ourselves. We are trying to solve others. So as long as you keep solving others and you don't solve yourself, you still have a problem. And marriages today are going through that because we are not solving ourselves. We are trying to solve others. We are blaming the man that he shouts, but what triggers the shout? We are not handling that one. You are blaming the shout, but you're not looking at what triggered the shout. You're blaming the disrespect, but you're not watching what triggered the disrespect. Because the trigger is the problem, not the reaction. You're blaming the child for being what the child is, but you're not checking when you had this opportunity to teach that child and correct that child and observe that child, which you did not do. So you are also blaming your parents when you are the one who has taken a decision to destroy your life. So these things I just feel that we are treating the wrong things. We are supposed to treat what triggers. We are treating the reaction in marriage. So let's stop treating the reactions in marriage and start treating what triggers the reaction. Then if we can solve the trigger, then we will never see the reaction. But the reactions will never be there if the triggers are handled. And I pray that anybody privileged to hear me will know it is time to start looking inward to check what am I doing that is causing this problem. What is causing a certain level of pain in my marriage? What am I really doing? What's the area I am lacking? Because if you start asking yourself that question, where am I lacking? Then you will see where you are lacking and start amending that. But when you don't see where you are lacking, you always see where the other person is lacking. Then, so peace is self-realization of what I am creating. Then when you first of all solve that, then we can have peace in the marriage. But I won't sit here to tell you that I solve it because I have to correct somebody. No. If you want peace in marriage, you have to start with yourself. If I get myself right, I'll get the other person right. But if I don't get myself right, I can't get the other person right.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir. All right, this one says, good morning, Bishop. I have a very important question because this has bothered me a lot as a marriage counselor and also a counselor in the ministry where I work. Sir, how do we differentiate between forgiveness and enabling toxic behaviors in a marriage?
From the Bible language or life that we live, we are commanded to forgive. But when it has to do with marriage, as I said earlier, if the person listening to me, we have approached marriage for a long time with the wrong perspective of life. Let's start approaching marriage from the self-reality of our own personal life first. If I make a review of myself connected to my marriage, and I always see the fault of my spouse, I will never grow that home. But the moment I start seeing that I am also adding to this problem, I will solve it. So whatever it is very cloudy, damaging, let us start checking inwardly. What is my contribution to this problem? When I accept that I'm also the problem, it's easier to be solved. But if I don't see anything wrong about my actions, then the problem will never be solved. As I said, sometimes the things you call problems are the things you created yourself. And because somebody spoke to you anyhow, and you don't like it, but check. Why are you in a situation where you can be spoken to anyhow? I have grown to understand that the certain things I don't want, I will not experience them. I have a way of life. I like to respect myself. So I won't give you, if you give me things to do, I will do them well. I don't involve myself in conversations that don't concern me. So you won't repeat me in your conversation. I don't get myself involved in them. 2, I don't break laws. If this thing has to be like this, I won't put my self-interest to it. I say because I don't like you. And if I see that in somebody's life, you will offend me. I may not like you, but business brought us together. So we must do the business that brought us together. I may not like the way you live and behave, but it does not affect me from relating with you. You should learn that this is life. So when there is a privilege to do something with you, I should do it open-heartedly. If you are meant to be here or do this thing, that's your right. I won't take a right from you because that's your right. Except you are not doing well and I have the capacity to change you, I will change you. But saying that I will use personal interest to fight you at a certain level, I don't live that kind of life. And number 4, I don't accept informations that I don't verify. Sometimes people think it's report. Sometimes it's instinct that I have. I perceive things a lot. And I hear from God. You think somebody reported things to me. They did not. Because I don't give room for those kind of informations. Because you must understand that in life, we are blaming people for what we created ourselves. And I keep saying it. 90% of the crisis in marriage is personal. It's personal crisis. For example, I've used the same example. I fixed a prayer time for 3 p.m. every day. I am the man. I'm not the pastor. So, but I don't come out to pray. That decision will affect the whole family because I am the leader. I am the pastor now. So I fix this program. I don't come out because of the things I do at a certain time. If I was not a pastor, I will be the first to be there by 4:30. I will make sure the thing is coordinated because you can't be giving people instructions and be sitting down. So sometimes we are blaming people for things that goes wrong in marriages while we are the architect of it. An unhealthy home is unhealthy examples being spread around the place. And it starts from the father, the mother, and it goes to the children. It won't jump. It's father, mother, children. Finish. So if we want to correct ourselves, let's start from ourselves. If you want to correct people, start correcting yourself. You are to start correcting yourself first before trying to correct people. And when we start doing that in marriage, a lot of crises we see in homes will stop brooding itself around the place.
Thank you so much, sir. Okay, this one says, "Good morning, Bishop. Man, you are a very wise man. I am thrilled. You mentioned in the last episode, sir, about staying true to your faith in politics whilst you tried to address a question from someone who was a deacon and talked about handling pressures as a believer. Sir, has there been ever a time when you know someone who had faced criticisms for taking a stand even within the church? And how did this person, or how did you advise the person in that situation of criticism?"
People have come to me and said, this person is good. I've heard somebody say they are ganging up against this person. I always said one thing. If the person is doing the right thing, then I don't need to get myself involved. I will not protect you. If you're doing the right thing, people are fighting you. I get you now, just ask, are you doing the right thing? Keep doing the right thing. That's all. If you are right, you don't bother about what is said. It's only when you are wrong you bother about what people say. If you are right, if you are genuine, you don't bother about what people say. I don't bother about what people say if I am genuinely right. So check why you are bothered when you hear things about yourself. You are wrong. If you are right and you know what you are doing, you should focus more on what you are doing now and leave the side talks. It can be somebody's opinion does not mean it's right. Somebody can just have opinion about you, has not have conversations with you. It's just opinion, everything opinionated. So why are you bothered? Somebody just have one notion about you and it's not too sure. And you're just carrying it in the mind and talking about it and you are bothered, then you are wrong. If you are right, you pay attention to what you are doing anywhere in the world. And that's what I keep telling them. If you are right, why bother? But if you are not right, then change from it. The conversation is right. But if you are right and they are talking, then the conversation is wrong. Stay focused on what you are doing. When I hear somebody say, I'm tired, the talks are too much, people are against you, it simply means you are the problem, because people cannot be against you like that. And you're tired of what? What are you tired of? Well, because somebody said something about you. For goodness sake. You live with people and they will talk about you. You don't, I don't stay with animals, you stay with humans. And they will carry impressions about you. They will even say things you didn't do. They will paint pictures you are not. My question is, are you right? Are you doing what is right? If you are verified now in your secret place, are you right? If you are right, then stay calm and keep doing what you are doing. And that way you will always come out peaceful and victorious.
Thank you so much, sir. All right, this is from Philip. And Philip is saying, "Good morning, Bishop. I listened to your counsel sometime when I visited church for my friend's dedication. And you were so apt in your teaching that I decided to take a turn. Now, in taking the turn, I decided to deliberately step up my game around where I work. I work in a bank as a marketing staff under contract. Now, because I started doing things, people began to talk, something relating to what you had said just now. People began to talk, but then one of the things I noticed is that they kept bringing some things I had done before that were wrong, which I admitted when I made a review after your sermon, and deliberately wanted to step my game. Now, the question is, when you are constantly trying to change, especially hearing a sermon or encountering a sermon like I had with yours that very Sunday, and people keep painting back the things that you have done that was even obvious, how do you deal with hearing those things and staying committed to improving your better self? And then number two, how then, sir, can you also remove these toxic people around your team, especially when it is not in your capacity to do so. I give an instance. I was made temporarily the head of the division where we were supposed to market in a new area in Obwashuku. Now, I noticed that some people were giving me bad energy, and so I exempted them, took the people that were in the right page with me, not necessarily, he put this in a quote, not necessarily people who were speaking for me or people who were favoring me, but I picked people who I felt were capable of helping me achieve that vision. Now, when we came back, I had so many talks and I was scolded for exempting these people with bad energy because they had gone to say things about me that were 90% true and 10% incorrect. So, sir, at this junction, I just want to know how we could handle this sort of situation because I believe it happens almost everywhere, including the church. End of quote.
Self-esteem must not come from human validation. Self-esteem must come from inner personal development. Develop yourself enough so face the actions of men. You have to develop yourself to face it. David is a very prime picture of how to grow. When he faced the lion and the bear, we were not told. We were not aware. But when he met Saul, when Saul started trying to downplay his effort, he reminded Saul that I'm grown. I have experienced evil before, and I know what to do. So your self-esteem is for you to build. I will not build that for you. That is in your hands to take care of. So he doesn't have a problem. If he chooses to change because of a word encounter, then he should just stay there. And then he can't change a team he did not form, but he can change how he stays with the team. That he can do peacefully. And there's nobody you cannot work with in life. As long as you're in a work system, you are committed to work with everybody in the system. You're not the boss. As long as you are not the leader of a system, you're not the boss. When I mean leader, I mean the CEO of the place. You have the right to work with everybody, whether they want you or not. And it's simple. David worked with everybody, even when he knew that the man who employed him wanted to kill him. Use the David's formula. Behave yourself. Be wise. Avoid death traps. Avoid failure traps. Avoid conversations that will give you a problem. And know when somebody wants to. I just understand the levels of people's actions around you and treat them. I've always said, don't report the person. Report the job weaknesses. I've always told people that. When you want to report somebody in an office, report the job weaknesses, not the person. People tend to report people. Report the job weaknesses, not the person. So it won't look as if it's personal. People report people instead of reporting the weaknesses of the job. Because the company is more interested in the job, not the person. But we are reporting people instead of reporting the weaknesses that the people are producing in the work. So you should pay attention to your job. And I don't know why people need respect in the office. Why do you need respect in the office? Why do you need love in the office? It's called office, professional ground. What I need in the office is professionality. Even a juju priest can work in your office. A murderer can work in your office. It's a work sector. So any human can be involved in it. So I don't need you to love me for me to work with you. All I need from you is team spirit in the place of work. Understanding that we have something to do and let's go ahead and do it. If I need love, respect, I know where to go and get it. Because there are, see, the thing is this. We have not defined where we should get things from. You want love, go to your home, go to the house. You want God, come to church. You want work, go to the office. We should understand where these things come out from. People are looking for love in church, looking for love in the office, looking for love in marriage, looking for everything. Things are not there, we are seeking for it. And they will tell me God is love. It is first God before love. If you don't know God, how will you know the God that is loving? So when you don't know the God that is loving, how do you now know God? God. You don't know the God, and then you want to know the God that loves. So when you get to the office, one thing you should always do is walk. And that's why they say, to be safe, don't keep a relationship in the office. Don't date a person in the office. So it does not go against your interest of policy in the office. So if you want to do that, stay focused. And he doesn't have a problem. He can make out the best from that situation and become outstanding by how he manages himself through the people in the office.
Thank you so much, sir. Very profound. Before we get to the last question of this episode, this is not a question. This is from Norma, and she says, "Good morning, sir. Not a question for today, but I just want to tell you that I love you so much." Thank you so much, sir. All right, now for the last question. This one says, "Good morning, Bishop. I remembered when you spoke about the unity of the church in one of the episodes that I cannot remember. But one thing keeps coming, especially when I see things happen in the body of Christ. So, sir, please, what specific actions do you think that ministers can take to achieve this unity in the body of Christ, especially those we consider fathers of the faith, not necessarily those who are higher, but those who also within a geographical area are considered that? How can they build unity in the faith?"
I may answer this question very far from the question. The moment we start defining standards and spiritual culture, it will bring us to a belief system that is brotherly. You know, we have built standards that are personal, not standards that are of God. Every man has a standard, and then in that standard he has built a certain team that believes in his standard. And when we look at the broader perspective, what about the standard of God? What did God say about certain things connecting to ministry? I think that is what we need to return back to know what God said. Not what a man has lived, his experiences. You know, we preach our experiences. We tell our stories. But let our story always bring people to the standard of God. So when we build this standard and push people more into it, as I grow older in this, and I discover that every encounter should be pushed to God and shown to the people. Not you, the encounter, unto the people. So the God standard is what we need in the church more. And then the message that the prophets preached was God. The message that Jesus preached was the kingdom, the life of the kingdom. And the message that the disciples preached was the life of Jesus, the ways of Jesus, the testimonies of Jesus Christ. We must understand that these guys preached messages that reflected people back to Jesus. And we must start doing that. We are preaching our testimonies. Let's just preach Jesus Christ. And let's know that our different backgrounds on the earth today does not take us away from a gathering of the saints. I may have been raised from the Protestant church, or from the Roman Catholic church, or from the ecclesias, whatever body that raised me. But if our representation is to make sure God is honored, let's understand that umbrella first. The understanding is not there, so the division is more. And I always feel because that is more because the people want to gain access to better revelations. So we are behaving like business people. Every year, iPhone improves itself. That's what we're trying to do in ministry now. We want to improve the message. So as the pastor checks, he gets a better revelation over the previous person. And as we keep doing that, competition creeps in, who is higher creeps in. Then anywhere you see competition, there will be strife. There will be talk down. There will be not the physical fight. There will be invisible fights. And it will come through language and actions. Yes. And that's the things we see today. So we need to stop improving revelations. Because if we don't stop that, there will be more problems coming. We are not the iPhone industry. The iPhone 16 out from all of the iPhone 17, iPhone 20, iPhone 25. No. Let's start just preaching one name, Jesus Christ. His life, his ways, and let's just stay there. And the things that comes with his name, no problem. So the standard should be Jesus. The correction should be Jesus. The lifestyle should be Jesus. Our formation should be Jesus. And all of that and the fruits that goes with it. And it will help.
Thank you so much, sir. A lot of wisdom is dispensed here. Now, why the seat I sit on is hot, because how does it feel like seeing a man who you consider the citadel of knowledge and wisdom? You have the chance to sit with him in a section like the Gospel Manager. A rebuttal for me would be that I have a secret of his to reveal to you in the next episode. So if you want to know that secret, then be part of the next episode of Gospel Manager on Monday when we return. Now, another secret I want to reveal, but don't tell him I told you, is that in the next season, we'll be rewarding one of our very faithful viewer of the Gospel Manager. We would host you here live in Rehoboth City, and you get a chance to do what I do, sit here with him for 1 hour and calling Gospel Manager. All expense on us, you don't need to worry about that. Now, don't tell him I told you that. Is a secret that he must not hear. And so please keep streaming, keep asking your questions, and you have a chance to sit with him one-on-one in the Gospel Manager stream. Or we may likely have you as one of the co-anchors for that day. So don't forget, keep streaming, and also let your friends know the Gospel Manager is up and God's Servant is always live on Mondays and Fridays. I'll leave the floor now for God's Servant to close this episode and bless us for the weekend. I will be back after that.
Let's review our last instruction. There are too many instructions, but none is being carried out because we don't review them. Let's go back to our last instructions, your last correction, your last instruction, the last rebuke, the last compliment you received, and check why you got the compliment. Check why you got the correction. Check why you were rebuked, and check why you were instructed. When you are able to check this and know why these things happen, then it will give you a better way of knowing what next to keep doing, to keep yourself on check continually. Those who forget why they were complimented, corrected, rebuked, and instructed are those who will always be on the wrong path of life. And I pray this weekend will become one of the weekends that cost God to raise his path. The butler remembered Joseph, and the king sent for him. May your butler be reminded that he has work to do on your behalf this weekend, in the name of Jesus Christ. Stay fulfilled and stay blessed. Jesus loves you. Be blessed.
From God's Servant's remarks, it's obvious that reviewing the last does not make it past, but it makes you last. Because he said to us some time ago that your last job is your next job. This is why we say life is beautiful, and you, my friend, you could handle it. Gospel Manager returns on Monday at 7 a.m. and we can't wait to see you. Have a pleasant weekend and see you next week. God bless you.